Hello everyone, this is Dr. Meenu Pandey and I am going to give a presentation on communication skills. As this term is very commonly used, so first of all we should know what is the actual meaning of communication. When we are talking about anything, when we are thinking, whatever we are discussing, whatever we are trying to communicate, whatever we are trying to transfer that message from one person to another. This is known as communication. Whenever you are chatting with someone, whenever you are having any kind of interaction with someone, this is known as communication. And the skills which are required, skill means the ability to do something. And when we are talking about communication skills, then these are all skills which are needed to develop, to sharpen, the way in which you are communicating with someone, in which you are interacting with someone. So the entire act, the set of skills, your ability to interact with someone very effectively, efficiently, in a way that you can propagate, you can transfer your message very easily from one person to another, from maybe from one to one or maybe from one to many. It may also be face to face kind of communication, or it may be face off communication. But whenever you are communicating with someone, even when you are writing something, so this is also your communication skills. It means when we are talking about communication skills, then during your interaction, the set of skills which are needed, to transfer your message, that is known as communication skills. So, in order to sharpen your communication skills, certain set of skills are needed. Now, what are those set of skills which are needed? Because as I told you, these are just abilities. So it means it's not enough that you should have only knowledge of that, but you have to make practice so that you can sharpen. Because as you know, practice makes a man perfect, and skill is a thing which is related with rigorous practice. If you want to have expertiseness, if you want to be an expert in that particular skill, then a lot of practice is needed, rigorous practice is needed, because there are different types of subjects which may be divided into two different categories. Some of the subjects belong to a category known as knowledge-based subject, and other belong to another category, that is skill-based subject. So in case of knowledge-based subjects, only knowledge, or you can say that information related to different aspect of that subject, its topic, subtopics, that is enough. If you know that much information, means if you have knowledge, then it is enough. But in case of skill-based subject, only knowledge is not enough. Knowledge is the basic need, but in order to sharpen everything, you have to make a rigorous practice. So the same is the case with English language, or with any language, maybe Hindi language, English language, or any foreign language even. So it means knowledge is not enough, but you have to practice. So when you have knowledge that what you have to practice, then only you can just complete it, isn't it? So communication skills, you can say those kind of skills, those set of skills which are included under this particular term are the skills which are related with, speaking, reading, writing, listening, understanding, vocabulary, pronunciation, different types of punctuation marks, even syntax is also included over here. So there are a variety of skills which are needed. Okay, so we can say in order to learn any language, in order to develop communicative competence, first of all, you have to learn that thing. Second thing is you have to develop communicative competence. Learning is just one thing, and to acquire competence, that is just another thing. When we are talking about learning, okay, so in case of language, you know what happened, that you are very much expert in your mother tongue because you are using it. You are using it since your birth. You are hearing it continuously and you are trying to speak out something in that particular language. So knowingly, unknowingly, you used to imitate everything, whatever you are listening. So you are listening, you are practicing, and definitely you, without paying attention, it means unconsciously you imbibe everything. So the basic aspect is a lot of practice of listening is given when we are talking about mother tongue, or you can say your first language. But in case of second language, we have to create a kind of artificial environment, and in that artificial environment you have to learn anything. Now when you are learning anything in an artificial environment, then definitely much effort is needed and a different way, you know, because you have to motivate yourself, you have to extract those sources because you are not getting that natural kind of environment. So in this artificial environment, the thing which is needed, what you have to do is, first of all, you should know what are the basic skills, what are the subsidiary skills related to learning of any language, maybe Hindi, maybe English, or any foreign language. As I told you, there are two different types of languages, basically first language and second language. Okay, so as I told you that there are two different types of languages, first language and second language. First language, or your primary language, or you can say that your mother tongue, doesn't require any effort from your side because everything happens, you can say, unconsciously. You imbibe everything. But in case of second language learning, much effort is needed from your side. So whenever you are making effort to learning any language apart from your mother tongue, then definitely you can develop communicative competence in that language too. So first of all, you should know what are the important set of sub skills which are needed. So first of all, I'm going to tell you that there are some basic skills and some subsidiary skills. Basic skills means without them you can't learn any language. And subsidiary skills are, again, they are acting as a building block because they are providing that knowledge. So they are also very much important. And basic skills where you have to, practice. Like if we are talking about listening, listening is the very important thing. It is a kind of receptive skill. You receive everything through listening. As you know, in case of computer programming or when you operate something, some input is needed. So listening act as an input for language learning. Okay, so when you are listening a lot, you are exposed to that kind of environment where you can learn, where you can listen so many things, then definitely you're getting, so many things are being automatically imbibed. Okay, so after that, ultimately, you start speaking out. So it means the first thing which you have to do is you should, because we are talking about artificial environment, so you should expose yourself with that kind of atmosphere where you are going to listen a lot about this particular language in this particular language. Okay, so a lot of listening is needed and finally you start speaking out. So it means if you are practicing, if you are working on listening, ultimately you can start speaking out. If you are working on reading, then definitely you can improve your writing skill, because when you are reading out something, again you are receiving something, isn't it? And after receiving something is means your brain develop a capacity to produce something. So ultimately you can answer different questions related to that particular chapter because content is already there. So it means when you want to develop your language, especially a second language, then you have to work on listening and reading. Okay, if much emphasis is given on listening, you can automatically improve your speaking. If much emphasis is given on reading, again you can automatically improve your writing. It means you have to work on reception. You are receiving a lot, then you can produce a lot. Okay, so these are the 4 basic skills of language learning: listening, speaking, reading, writing. And always use this particular sequence, listening, speaking, reading, writing, because this is the natural way, natural sequence of learning any language. Now, as I told you, that there is something which acts as a, ground, as a base. So that is your subsidiary skills, like syntax. Syntax means grammar of that particular language. In case of first language, much emphasis is not given because just by hearing, just by listening, you come to know about different rules of grammar. That's why you didn't, read everything separately. You're not going to mug up everything and all. But in case of second language, you must be aware of different rules related to syntax of that particular language, means grammar. So grammar is one of the most important, subsidiary skills. And after that, you can say vocabulary. Ample vocabulary is needed in case you are not having your good vocabulary. Then if you want to say something, if you want to discuss something, if you want to, communicate, you can't communicate very efficiently, effectively, if you're not getting that particular word. Okay, then definitely you are going to replace it with something else, or it may be inappropriate use. Okay, so vocabulary skill means syntax is needed, vocabulary is needed. Whenever we are talking about speaking, then pronunciation and, very good, or you can say correct pronunciation is very much needed. So you have to work for that. You should improve your pronunciation. You should know how to improve your pronunciation, because every language has its own way of pronouncing different words, different letters and different sentences. So the pattern which is being followed in that particular language, you must be aware of that. So this is about pronunciation. And later on, the one more important aspect is punctuation, because when we are talking about writing, when we are speaking out something, we are just going to read your gesture, posture, different types of facial expressions and all, and the kind of pause which we are giving over there. But when we are writing, so this is also needed in your sentences, in your paragraph, in your complete text. So that the way where you have to put that little pause, where you have to provide greater pause. So that is, these all symbols are known as punctuation marks, which direct you where you have to behave in which way, where you have to give a short pause, a small pause, and where you have to give a long pause, and where you have to put a comma, where you have to put a full stop, and blah blah, capitalization, colon, semicolons, brackets, so many things are there, So when we are talking about subsidiary skills, it means your knowledge, and it comes through grammar, through vocabulary, through the way of pronunciation and punctuation marks. So you have to, means you should have at least knowledge of all these things. Later on you can work with your LSRW, listening, speaking, reading and writing. so that a kind of understanding develops, and when understanding develops, then definitely you could get the message, the information which is being conveyed through that particular sentence. So if we are talking about communication skills, so at least all these basic skills and subsidiary skills, you should know, you have to practice them, then definitely you can improve your communication skills. So this is just our first topic related to the term communication skills. In our next episode, I'll try to provide a little more information on this particular topic. Thank you so much.